Do y'all think that the better team won, or was this just a bad game?
They got a cloud hanging over their head.
You execute when you're supposed to execute, and we didn't do that. They were the better team in that game.
Well, raise your hand if your team's conference is over 500. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta put
Not
that
us.
hand
down.
Nope. Yeah. Oops. Maybe next year. We do have some exciting games to talk about, though, and yes, there is one lone SEC team still standing in the CFP. But before we get into all that, let's welcome today's hosts. Host, co-host.
Oh, I've moved.
Matt, how's it going,
moved
sir?
up. I'm not just a co-host anymore. That's nice. Yeah, things are great. We're back in the saddle as far as work goes, and 2026 is off to a rousing start, man. We're cooking with peanut oil, as they used to say back on the farm. But yeah,
It's off to something. That's right.
We're 7 days in. 7 days in. It already feels like it should be mid-March.
It really does. You notice Jesse's not here. She is on a work assignment, so best of luck to her in her travels. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the games. Well, not from last week, but from bowl season.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
A lot of last place finishes this week. A lot of last place
lasts.
finishes this week. A lot of lasts.
A lot of them. So we'll just briefly go through these because there were a lot of bowl games, obviously, and some of these teams played two games in terms of the playoff and all that. So first, let's talk about Alabama number 9 at number 8 Oklahoma. CFP first round game. Yeah, this was a long time ago. This is going to jog the memory. So Bama winning this one 34-24. Matt's the only one to pick Bama here. So we were talking about this when the game was going on, but Oklahoma gets off to a 17-0 lead, feeling pretty good at home, and then just absolutely collapses. And I got to say, we talked to Brady about this, and the hot seat for Brent Venables has to be blistering at this point because I think it had cooled that since they made the playoff. Obviously, that was kind of a little bit beyond what they were even hoping for this year. But to get there and then to just collapse like this, it's got to be hot. What do you think?
I think he does have a little bit of a hot tushy at the moment. Definitely, like it was going so well for Oklahoma, and I hate to use this particular example, but the wheels fell off the wagon. No pun intended. And it just I've seen a lot of collapses. I mean, I've lived in Georgia pretty much my entire life. I was there when the Falcons did what the Falcons did against Patriots in the Super Bowl. This was comparable, I feel. I know that's kind of heady stuff, but man, you want to talk about completely folding to give out, you get outscored, what, 34-7 in the second half or something along those lines. That's bad. That's so bad. And you got to feel for those Okie fans that's a bad look on prime time. Right before Christmas break kicks into high gear, like oof.
Right. I mean, they were primed and ready to celebrate a victory.
Absolutely,
you could feel it.
Yeah.
It was coming, and then all of a sudden they just let it slip away. So,
and it's like Brady said, like this was probably the biggest game in Norman ever.
Yeah.
Like this was the prime time moment, and the brights were too light for Oklahoma.
Yeah. All right. So. Number 10.
Right. Wait a minute. Hold on. Did I say brights were too light? I meant the lights were too bright. Listen.
So you know what?
It's been a week.
When you said that, I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. But then I was like, maybe he's doing that on purpose to say how confusing this game was.
Nope. I wish I was that clever. That wasn't the case.
Anyway, it's kind of like the from The Office. Pam says, "Nobody's nerfect."
Yeah.
Anyway, number 10, Miami at number 7, Texas A&M. This is another CFP first round game. Miami winning this one 10-3. We watched this game together, and it was pretty horrific to watch.
It was bad.
It has to be one of the worst games in the history of the CFP, at least one that I've watched personally. And Miami fans, they can yap all they want in the comments about how Miami's defense dominated A&M's offense, but the problem is they're trying to say that Miami dominated the game overall, which quite simply wasn't true. I mean, this was a struggle fest all around. Miami's offense was bad as well and failed to cash in many opportunities. I mean, we give the kickers grief, but there was what, like 30-mile-an-hour winds in this game, so nobody could make a kick in this game. So it's like nobody wanted to truly take control of this game. Like I said, one of the worst I've personally watched. What were your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, same thing. It was a really, I mean, it was entertaining to you and me because we didn't have a dog in the fight. I mean, if this
Right.
was like an old school 1991 SEC slugfest, like there was not a whole lot of offense. And it was nasty conditions with the wind. Huge matchup, yeah, but just A&M couldn't get things online. Marcel Reed did a pretty good job of trying to do things, but just too many picks, too many issues. Third down was atrocious, even though Miami's was worse. It was just a case of A&M couldn't get it into the end zone when they needed to, and here they are.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of that week one matchup with Ohio State and Texas, where
Oh gosh. Yeah.
nobody could do anything. It was
Nobody wanted
just
to win.
defense. Yeah. It's like, no, you win. No, you go. No, you go in. It was a mess.
A mixture of nerves and bad weather in terms of the wind and all that stuff. So let's move to the next CFP first round game. That's number 11 Tulane at Ole Miss. I actually don't have anything to say about this one. Ole Miss won this one 41-10. Matt got the point here. I have no comment because this is what we expected to happen. It actually was very nearly the same score that it was the first go round. So, did you have anything to add?
I'm a little ticked off that I missed by that point. I could have used the bonus points for the pick 'em.
Right.
But I think if we could take a second to kind of look at the big picture here, I really feel like this illustrated the point that we need to get rid of the Group of Five champion auto bids. That doesn't need to happen anymore.
Right.
If they're in the top 12, sure, put them in there, let them go. But I think what was Tulane? They were
like 24 or 22.
Yeah,
or
they were
something
way
like that. I
back
can't
there.
remember. Yeah.
Like I really feel like put Vanderbilt in there. Vanderbilt versus Ole Miss. That could have been a good matchup. I think that'd have been a better game.
Yeah.
You could have put. I can't remember who else was in that mix. I think
JMU was the other one that got vaulted up there.
Again, another one that got absolutely run out of the stadium.
Yeah.
Just one of those situations where it's like I said the last time we talked about the CFP, go dust off the old BCS computer, fire that sucker up, give it a minute to get the updates in place. You may have to call in an IT specialist. Luckily, I know one.
It's got plenty of upgrades that need to happen.
Yes, there's a lot that's happened. I think that thing's still running Windows ME. There's a dated reference for you, Wes.
Yeah.
Let's slug it out with the top 12 according to strength of schedule, strength of record. Like take the committee out of it because the committee obviously doesn't know what they're doing.
No, and it's completely subjective. So let's go to some of these bowl games here. Number 19 Virginia versus Missouri in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl from Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. Virginia winning this one 13-7. Another low scoring affair. Mizzou got off to a fast start here. By that I mean they scored in the first 5 minutes of the game, but after that, nothing. And then Pribula didn't play in this game with freshman Matt Zoller starting. So I mean that could have had an effect on this game. And then Virginia's defense largely contained Ahmad Hardy, who we've followed pretty closely on this show, looking like maybe the best back in the nation.
Absolutely.
If not, he's in the top 3 for sure. But he rushed for 89 yards in this one, which is pretty low for him, and no touchdowns. But I don't know, Matt, did you have any thoughts on this one?
As much as I enjoy watching Drinky get, embarrassed on national TV, and if you're a Missouri fan, I'm sorry. It's been long established I don't like the guy, so I'm not going to hold back on that.
So this is nothing new.
This is not new. If you're new here, just know Drinky there's no love lost between me and Drinky, and I don't have nice things to say about Shane Beamer for that matter either. Yes, I'm vindictive and petty. It's fine. But Missouri probably could have found a way to win this ball game. They just couldn't make the plays when they needed to. There were opportunities there, and they just couldn't get it done. And maybe Pribula, not playing was the difference in this game. Maybe he was that difference maker. But UVA had a pretty decent season. I think they got to 9 wins, which historically speaking, UVA's been kind of up and down. So that's good for them, but it's not a good look for the conference. And that is a trend that is going to continue.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. Kind of continuing in that vein, LSU versus number 21 Houston in the Kinder's Texas Bowl at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. Houston wins this one in a really exciting game, 38 to 35. I got the point here. Barry and Brown returned the opening kickoff for an LSU touchdown. So I mean that kind of boded well. You're like, okay, you're gonna take care of this one. But even that wasn't enough to get LSU over the hump versus Houston. It was a huge night for Connor Wigman, who was a familiar name to us all. If you've been following SEC football, throwing for 4 touchdowns against LSU. Once again, LSU has no run game. I mean, Brian Kelly, denied it, but it still hasn't changed, even in his absence. So, amassing just 77 yards as a team in this bowl game. So, not a great look. They still managed to score 35 points, but it wasn't enough in the end. Matt, what you got on this one?
Yeah, again, this is if you have this matchup any other year, I think LSU takes this game by 2 touchdowns. It's just this is not a good year for LSU. A lot of off-field antics, not to mention the stuff that happened with Lane late in the season. Plus, I think didn't he show up at this game? Was he in a box somewhere?
I think I saw that he was going to be there, at least for a little bit.
I know he wanted to go on game day, and game day was like, "Nah, dude, you just go do your thing. We don't
Man,
need you
he
here."
is just trying to sell right now.
He's doing something. And it's not panning out so well, especially if you look at transfer portal stuff and who's not leaving Ole Miss. But I digress. LSU wins this game probably 8, 7, 8, 9 times out of 10, and this is just the one time that Houston just had a couple more bullets than LSU did, so they ended up walking out with the W. The home field advantage might have played a part here. I know that Houston is not too far from Baton Rouge, but that might have been what the difference was.
Right. All right, man. Sorry, we got to talk about Tennessee versus Illinois in the Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl in Nissan Stadium in Nashville. Tennessee, Illinois winning this one 30 to 28. We watched this one together. I'll let you go for it first on this one. What you got?
I don't really have a whole lot to say. I think I said most of it while we were sitting at the bar drinking, watching this game go on. I know that Tennessee's defense has been bad this season. Not down, not Midland, bad.
Mm-hmm.
The pass defense has been a hot mess. And we made Illinois' quarterback look like, he did a pretty good job. I mean, he throws for 196 yards, which isn't great, mind you, but still enough to beat the Vols. We couldn't stop them. It felt like every time we turned around and got just that spot where we would be able to take this thing down, we missed the opportunity. Not to mention that Max Gilbert misses a pretty pivotal field goal. That's the 4th time this season that's happened. Luckily for us, he will not be wearing orange and white next semester. No disrespect. I want to be very clear about this, and I said this during the game. I very rarely, very, very rarely will complain about a kicker missing field goals. But Max Gilbert was a liability at kicker this year. And you look at the Georgia game, you look at this game, you look at the what was the other one? There were a couple others in there too.
I feel like sometimes it can be mental too. And to your point about him leaving, maybe it's just good to have a reset for everybody.
I think it is.
For Tennessee, for him, yeah.
But here's the problem: is he's transferred to Arkansas, and we have to play Arkansas again next year. So who's going to kick the game winner? That's how these things operate. But I'll say this, and then I'll get off of the whole Tennessee thing. Illinois was a decent team. The Big Ten's been up this year. We've seen that by looking at their bowl record, and we'll talk about that again in just a second. And this Tennessee's defense couldn't get stops when they needed to get stopped. That's what it boiled down to. I hate this for Joey Aguilar. I hate this for Deshaun Bishop. I hate it for the seniors who had so much success for the last 2 years that this season was, let's be honest, disappointing. It is what it is. Now you just got to retool, rebuild, and let's keep getting at it.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. I think you summed it up perfectly. Let's move to number 23, Iowa versus number 14, Vanderbilt. ReliaQuest Bowl at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. The hits just keep coming, my friend.
What is happening?
Oh, man. Iowa winning this one 34 to 27. Nobody got the point here. And I was texting y'all while this game was going on. I was like, I feel like every time I turn around, Iowa's defense is just pummeling Diego Pavia. Like, no shot.
Pavia got his rear end rocked in this game several times. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that karma is a you-know-what.
Yeah.
But you run your mouth like you did during Heisman weekend, and then Iowa's defense was like, "Oh,
Right.
we'll settle his hash," and they
And
sure did settle his hash.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. And then, I mean, one of the reasons that he was playing in this game was to try and raise that draft stock, which, I mean, he knows he's probably not going to have a huge shot in the NFL anyways, but he was trying to take this last moment to do that and didn't look so great.
I
But,
mean, he had a decent day stats wise. I mean, you throw for 300 yards, you think you're winning a ball game, but
right.
he,
Yeah, I
he
mean,
can't
he's got a
do
lot of yardage.
everything.
Exactly. He had a lot of yardage on through the air, but didn't really get much going on the ground game, and just was, like I said, running for his life. A huge moment in this game though was when Vandy had that illegal kick, and we were talking about that when it happened because I've never seen this before. But it's
Oh
an
yeah.
illegal kick over the line of scrimmage from their own 15. The punter was looking for somebody to throw to, and he was running up, and he decided against that and just kicked it. But the problem was he was past the line of scrimmage at that point. So according to the rule, that's a 5 yard penalty from the spot of the foul and is a turnover at that spot. So Iowa got the ball on Vandy's 10 and then just threw a touchdown pass right after that. I mean, just huge, a huge
Was
pivotal
that
moment
was
in
that
this
the
one.
game winner too, or was that the one that set up the game winner?
No, this was actually earlier in the game, but it was
Was it
it
early?
was so
Okay.
bizarre. It just sort of really kind of turned
Listen,
things in their favor. Yeah. So I
that's a weird play. I don't think we've ever seen. I've
never
never
seen it.
seen anything like that. And just because typically, if if you're going to kick it, you just kick it.
Right. I have never seen a
Or
penalty where the punt is as if it didn't happen and it's a penalty from that spot. I mean, essentially a turnover on downs at that point from your own side of the field. But it's crazy.
Wes, do you think the referees had to like dust off an old rule book to find that? Because surely all of them are like, is that a foul? That's the penalty, right? Okay, hold on a minute.
Or yeah, it
Let
is a
me.
foul, but
Hey,
what do we
hey
do?
Siri, help me out. Like that's craziness,
Or he's
sheer
in the
craziness.
earpiece back to Birmingham. He's like, "Can you guys or whoever the refing crew was? I don't know which conference was officiating this game, but they're like, hey, can you guys help us out?" But yeah, I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on this one?
No, and I'll tell you, I'm not sad to see Diego Pavia leave. See you, bud.
Yeah, I
Enjoy.
appreciated what he did for Vandy and the cool stuff that he did while he was there. I was not a fan of his
The
antics that
the
surrounded it.
antics in the second half of the season really put a bad taste in my mouth. And I
Yeah,
say that as a Tennessee fan that really doesn't care for Vandy, but I could put that aside to appreciate the story that was Vanderbilt football this season.
right.
But the antics around he's got a mouth, man. He's just like Johnny Football.
Yeah,
And then the antics during the Heisman stuff and at the game, writing the things on. It's a mess. Just have some humility,
yeah.
please.
Well,
There's enough bravado in the world. We don't need more.
it'd be interesting to see what happens with the quarterback position at Vandy because obviously they flipped Jared Curtis from Georgia,
hmm
5-star quarterback, and so there might not be a lot of drop off there. Obviously the kid's got to develop, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
I can tell you that 5 stars have a bad habit of not turning out like you think they will, Wes.
This
I
is
know that
true.
from experience.
This is true. All right, let's move to number 18 Michigan versus number 13 Texas in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. Texas winning this one 41-27. Matt got the point here. Michigan led Texas 27-24 with almost 11 minutes left in this game. This is another one we were
hmm
kind of texting back and forth about just the utter collapse because they didn't score again, Michigan, that is. In that time, Arch would throw a 30-yard touchdown pass and rush 60 yards for another. And then Texas then capped things off with a 51-yard field goal to get a much-needed win for the floundering SEC. Matt, what are your thoughts on it?
I listen. Arch Manning was an absolute nightmare in this game. He did everything except tackle people and punt the football.
True.
He did a great job. I felt like that last quarter kind of tells the tale of Arch Manning. I feel. They always like to make reference to his uncle and to his grandfather, excuse me, and just all the other stuff that goes along with the Manning legacy. But I really feel like he's moved out of that shadow a little bit with his performance in this game. I mean, Texas put up almost 500 yards of offense, so they definitely took the lumber to him, especially in that fourth quarter, to pull away like they did. This was an exciting game too. At the tail end, I mean, you were thinking, well, Texas is shot. The rest of the SEC's been down this year as far as bowls go. Surely, poor Texas is going to lay this one down too, and then Texas turned around and fought right back.
Right. And obviously, Michigan has had their own issues going on.
Lots of issues. They've got a lot going on.
But to your point about Arch, it has been interesting because he's had to overcome a lot of stuff this year, and I think that has kind of helped him kind of solidify his own image instead of piggybacking on, the name, which I mean it's still going to happen, of course, but he's kind of had to carve his way out of a few holes this year. So.
Yeah. I feel like this bowl performance gives him a little bit of a leg up in those negotiations in the offseason about his glasses commercial. So hopefully he'll get a better payout for that.
Right. All right. Next is Wake Forest versus Mississippi State in the Duke's Mayo Bowl at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wes, the conference didn't even win the Mayo Bowl this year.
Didn't even win the Mayo Bowl.
What are we
Wake
doing?
won this one 43-29. Jesse got the point here. State was playing catch up for most of this game, but they did cut it to 30-27 early in the fourth. So they did at least kind of make it exciting. But despite, and I don't know if you saw this, a defensive 2-point conversion on a blocked PAT attempt.
I did see that.
That was something. But despite that, they were unable to cash in ultimately, and Wake was able to pull away at the end. And did you have any thoughts on this one?
No, other than the fact I'm ticked off we couldn't even win the friggin' Mayo Bowl this whole season. Yeah. It's just if SEC can't even win the Mayo Bowl, where are we? We are officially on the slide. It is the fall of the Roman Empire, so to speak.
Right.
We'll discuss though. How often do you think about the Roman Empire, Wes?
Oh, I think about it
all the time.
I don't know if I'll say every day, but definitely many times a week.
Yes. Yeah, same here.
All right, so the SEC is down at this point, but surely we can turn to our old trusty team, Alabama. It's the playoffs. They're going to stand up when the time is right. When the time comes, they're going to do something. So if I can
interject real quick, Wes, if you look historically speaking, over the last 15, 18 years, if there is one team in the SEC that you know for a fact is going to carry the banner in bowl season, going to find a way to get a W, that's going to take care of business, it has got to be the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Right. I mean,
it has to be.
Even in seasons where it looked like they didn't belong, all they had to do was make it in.
They still would find a way.
Exactly.
So
let's talk about number 9 Alabama versus number 1 Indiana in the CFP quarterfinal at the Rose Bowl, presented by Prudential in Pasadena.
Now
California.
You stop that. It's the Rose Bowl. Period. We don't need to know that Prudential's involved.
We're honestly lucky that we got a game that wasn't in a monsoon, because it was monsooning in the days leading up to this, but it did hold off on the day of. Indiana didn't just win this game. I mean, like a resounding thrashing, 38-3. And I'm not trying to just embellish it because I'm a Georgia fan. I mean, this was shocking to me to watch. I mean, as somebody who's watched Alabama for, a long time. And just seeing this, it just didn't seem real. How Indiana was just able to dominate this game in almost every facet. I mean, Bama couldn't get any pressure on Mendoza, and when they did, he made plays. Indiana was able to pressure Ty Simpson, and I know he had kind of a little bit of an arm injury going on with this game, but I don't think that would have made much difference. He was running for his life regardless. And then they brought in Mack. He looked better when he came in, but still wasn't enough, obviously, to turn things around. So not to overstate the obvious, but Indiana unequivocally looked like the best team in the nation in this game. Matt, what do you think?
I like you said, Wes, we've watched a lot of football. We've seen a lot of things. This is hands down the most complete evisceration of a Bama football team I've ever seen in my life. This is their worst loss. This was a stat that killed me when I saw it. This is their worst loss since the 1998 season.
Oh gosh.
You got to go all the way back to 1998, damn near 30 years to find another loss that was this lopsided against the Tide. I was absolutely flabbergasted. I was listening to it on our car ride back from for I think from went up to Atlanta for New Year's. I'm listening to the play by play, and I'm just like, who, what, how is this possible? What is going on? Like, where is Alabama? Did they bring out the JV team? Like,
Right.
did we get the uniforms mixed up with a high school team? Like, it was bad. And if you're a Bama fan, like, you have to be seething at such a pivotal moment in history and being exposed on a national stage like that.
Right.
And I say that as a Tennessee fan. I'm used to being embarrassed, but this was bad. Like, I had secondhand embarrassment for Bama fans on this. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I got a little bit of Schadenfreude from it. I did enjoy parts of it. There's another game we're going to talk about in a second that I really enjoyed, but we'll come back to that. But it's just Indiana looks nasty. They look really nasty. And you want to know, Wes, I don't know if you saw this stat either. You want to know how many 5-star recruits they have on their team?
It's not many, if any. I was going to say, yeah.
They don't have a single 5-star out of high school recruit.
Yeah.
Not a single one. And they just dismantled what was not a great Bama team, but we know they were good enough to get into the playoff, and they took care of, nastiness, pure nastiness. I don't know what Signetti's putting in the water in Bloomfield, but it's gross, and it is creating monsters.
I loved just watching him on the sidelines too, because he never really, not to make this comparison too lightly, but it really reminded me a lot of Saban over there.
Mm-hmm.
Never satisfied, chewing his players out even when they're up by 30 points.
Nope.
And it was.
Yeah, I saw him smile one time. Do you know when that was, Wes?
Was that after the game?
It was after the game when they were hoisting the trophy for winning the Rose Bowl. That was that's when he smiled. That screams Nick Saban. Like, and to do this to a formerly led Nick Saban team is poetic, to say the least.
Right. All right. Well, from one Saban assistant to another, or to many, I guess, really, if you think about it. Ole Miss versus Georgia, CFP quarterfinal at the Allstate Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana. Ole Miss won this one 39-34.
Sorry, Wes.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm over it at this point. It's been long enough. Jesse
Well,
gets the points in this one.
you were hot to trot when it was going on, though.
Oh
Woo,
yeah, it was
warm.
excruciating to watch, especially the defense. And I'll talk about it a little bit more because I feel like I harped on a lot of that stuff. And I could talk about horrible defense, our lack of coverage and inability to contain Trinidad Chambliss. I could talk about silly decisions to go for it on fourth down. Twice it worked. Okay, fine. Once it really messed us up, especially considering where it was on the field. I could talk about the moment being too big for a lot of these guys, but I think I've already said this on social media. What I really kind of want to focus on is, and I've seen others mention this as well, but did you know that Georgia had 3 chances to go up by 3 scores in this game? It was
No, I didn't.
it was 21-12 after Dalen Everett's scoop and score. Big moment in the game. Okay, we've got them on the ropes here. Then Ole Miss, right after that, goes 3 and out, and Georgia has an opportunity to go up 3 scores, but also goes 3 and out. Ole Miss squanders a chance at points before halftime, and we kind of all took that in and we're like, "Yeesh, I don't know about this. They don't even know how to manage the clock at the end of the half. This is really boding well for Georgia." Okay, things are looking good. Georgia gets the ball in the second half. Well, they get the ball and they do nothing with it. I think they just got a few yards on that drive and just took a few seconds off the clock. On Ole Miss's next possession, they turn it over on downs. Okay, cool. Georgia has their third opportunity to go up by 3 scores, and they come up short on a field goal. This, to me, is probably the biggest choke of the game, and the reason why Ole Miss was able to seize the momentum in this one. And look, it wasn't like a blowout. It was 39-34, which maybe makes it even more hard to swallow. knowing that Georgia really could have won this one and probably should have, put the foot on the throat there a few times and just couldn't get it done. But yeah, we'll see what Ole Miss does from here on out. Obviously, it's a huge story with everything that's going on over there. And, Pete Golding leading this team and inspiring this team. We'll see how far they get, and we'll talk about them a little bit later as well. But Matt, what were your thoughts on this one?
I again, like I said, I really enjoyed this. I hate this for US, but it makes me happy because I hate Georgia with the passion of 1,000 suns. And Ole Miss, the story around Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin leaving in the middle of the night again. Ho's gonna hoe. Sorry. If you're listening, Mom, I apologize. Him leaving and then just the whole
H-E-A-U-X.
No, we're gonna call it a hoe. It's fine. H-O. A hoe. Faux show. That's a 40-year-old virgin reference. God, we're off the rails. What was I saying? Oh, now I remember. Yeah, just the whole story around Ole Miss and the way that everything's kind of gone down the last month of the season. And then for them to come out against a pretty solid Georgia team that absolutely throttled Alabama in the SEC championship game. And then to walk out of there and be in contention for a national championship, that's got to be a great feeling if you're an Ole Miss fan. If you're an Ole Miss guy, you got to be on cloud nine right now because it looks like you guys are going to be okay. Now they're running into a little bit of a buzzsaw tomorrow night, because we're recording this on a Wednesday. So we'll see how they do, when they play Miami, but still it's a great story. The plucky Ole Miss underdog, finding a way to beat Georgia.
Well, and the fact that they're in this position this late in the season has also messed up things like the transfer portal, where if these guys, want to, obviously they're participating in playoff games, they're sticking around longer. And I don't know if that, has truly played a big part, but obviously things didn't work out in terms of who Lane thought that he was going to get in the transfer
And none
portal
of them are leaving.
so far.
Like if you look at the names that are confirmed to come back for Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss isn't going anywhere. Kyron
Right.
Lacey's not going anywhere. Like the big movers and shakers on this offense that you assumed, because I assumed they were all going to go follow Lane.
Yeah. Well,
They said, no,
I think
dude, we're
Lane
gonna stay
assumed
in
it too.
Oxford. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like I said, we texted about it the other day when I was looking at who's moved and who hadn't. I was like, LSU, like Lane might have crapped the bed on this one.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how the LSU fandom does. Look, obviously it's still early, super early. They haven't even played a game
I can
yet.
tell you,
but
just the couple of moves we've seen, LSU's lost a couple starting offensive linemen. They've lost, I think, a couple of defensive players to the portal that have signed in other places. That's not a good look.
I think he thought that he was going to attract players in the portal just on sheer name alone. And shockingly, it's not going that well so far. I mean, we'll see.
I
We'll see how it
think
goes.
everybody thought that though, Wes. I think everybody was like, "Oh yeah, people are gonna flock."
Yeah.
LSU with their resources, their facilities, and Lane running the show. Like, surely there's a million people out there that are they're not maybe. And again, maybe an LSU fan can correct us on this. I know they're
Yeah.
good about coming at us in the comments, but maybe Lane's
Well, and wouldn't it
not
be
done what he's supposed to.
Wouldn't it be interesting if, the reason he left Ole Miss was because he wanted to recruit well and have those resources. And it's interesting that obviously that's not really working out as he thought right now. But then also he didn't necessarily think that he had a shot at a championship there either. What a crazy story it would be if he left because of all of these reasons and all the reasons that he left because of actually end up resulting in a championship. So just kind of crazy. Anyways, pick 'em standings. I've got 48. Matt, you've got 46. Right there. Jesse has got 41. Both of you are right
One point
there
away
in
from
terms.
being tied with you.
Yeah,
Because if I had
and,
gotten that exact score, it would have been 2 more points, right?
it would have actually. Yeah, all these bowl games were worth 2, so you would have gotten 4 points for that one if it was exactly that one.
48.
Next one is worth 4, I think, and I think the championship is worth 6. So we're, it could go all kinds of ways from here on out. So,
It definitely could.
let's talk about helmet stickers real quick. Matt, who you got?
Listen, I've been watching college football since probably 1993, 1994. For our younglings out there, that's a really long time ago.
1900s.
Yes, back in the 1900s. I've been watching football for a really long time. I am going to go on record, Wes. Okay, write this down. Take notes. I'm going to go on record and issue a giant helmet sticker to the entirety of the Big Ten.
Yikes!
Because let's
The
be
whole Big
honest,
Ten.
the entire Big Ten. If you look at, and we'll talk about it again in just a second. If you look across the board, the Big Ten has outperformed everybody. Indiana absolutely throttled everybody. Iowa looked good. Who else did we lose to? Illinois looked good. Like the Big Ten has really hauled the mail in the postseason. So, and we spend. And it, again, if you're a Big Ten fan listening to this podcast, I don't know why you're here, but if you are one of those people, I owe y'all an apology. I was not hauling the water for the Big Ten, but the Big Ten has shown that they're for real.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they've also won the last 2 national championships and probably are going to win a 3rd straight, which is a weird thing. But here we are. So, giant helmet sticker for the entire conference, and y'all can hang it in. Where is the Big Ten headquarters? Like West Buford, Illinois, or something like that?
I thought Big Ten headquarters was Indianapolis. I could be mistaken.
I think that's just where they play the championship. You go ahead with your helmet stickers.
Heck, if I don't know. Yeah, helmet stickers. Not to be cliche and go with quarterbacks, but I got Trinidad Chambliss and Fernando Mendoza because both of these guys just had the ice in the veins type of performances on a really big stage. So props to them. Both of them get helmet stickers. Did you find Big Ten headquarters yet?
I'm still looking. I'm looking. It's in Rosemont, Illinois.
Rosemont, Illinois.
What the hell is in Rosemont, Illinois?
The infamous town of Rosemont, Illinois.
It's a suburb of Chicago. Okay, that makes more sense.
It's up there.
But that's so random. Okay.
All right. Well, speaking of that, kind of staying in that vein, let's have a somewhat painful speed round. Speed round. All right, so we're gonna.
That music always gives me anxiety every single time.
Triggers
it just immediately my pulse quickens. It's not a
most millennials would trigger, I would imagine. So, all right, so this is an interesting speed round, and I'm just gonna put it out there for your consideration, Matt. Does the SEC suck now? What is going on? We cannot seem to carry the water for our conference. What's going on?
Yeah, going 4-9 in the postseason is it's not a good taste. It's not a good look. Especially when you're, 2 of your teams. I mean, granted, we got 3 teams in the playoff. Yeah, okay, but it's not a good look. Does the SEC suck now? Now, I'm not going to say yes, but I'm going to say maybe. It's been a really rough season as far as out-of-conference play goes. I don't know the exact record off the top of our head, but it's not pleasant. It's not a good look. There are a couple of really rough losses in there. There are a couple decent wins, too. I mean, Texas did find a way. No, wait, Ohio State beat Texas. Sorry about that. Forget about what I said. There are a couple of decent wins in there somewhere. But yeah, we don't look as good as we used to, and I think that part of that problem might be NIL. I really feel now that we've kind of busted the seal, so to speak, on paying players, because let's call it what it is. The SEC had gotten really good at finding ways to get McDonald's bags to kids without people getting wise, and now the rest of the world can do the exact same thing. But who was it that said they were talking about recruiting? Was it Coach O that said back in the day, you had to go through the back door with the cash. Now you could just go through the front door with the cash.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was him.
I feel like that's accurate because we all know that weird stuff was going on. Again, I'm a Tennessee fan. I know all about the McDonald's bags with cash in them that Jeremy Pruitt used to poison our program as a Alabama sleeper agent. But that's beside the point. I'm not going to get caught up in conspiracy theories. But the thing is that historically for the last 30 years or so, the SEC has been completely dominant. That has started to change in the post NIL decision. The Big Ten's won the last three national championships. Sorry, the last two, potentially a third one this year. And we have not played really well out of conference. And I think it's a little bit of a lowering, or maybe kind of a raising of the lowers and a lowering of the highs here to kind of get everybody back on equal footing. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, no, I think those are all good points. I would also like to point out that the Pac-12 is 1,000%. They are 1-0, and they're both both against.
There's only two teams in the pack,
Yeah.
so I mean that worked.
And also keep in mind, 2 losses for the SEC in bowl season were to ourselves, right? Oklahoma lost to Alabama. Georgia lost to Ole Miss, but still, it doesn't really make things a whole lot better. I think that you're right. I don't think that the SEC necessarily sucks. I think this is just, like you said, part and parcel of being a part of this NIL world now. It was a lot easier back in the day to stockpile talent with a lot of the things that you just mentioned. Obviously, there was things going on under the table. But then also, if you wanted to be a part of a championship program, like in Alabama or whatever, then you wanted to be on those teams. And even if it meant sitting behind a 5-star quarterback or whoever for a year or two, you just wanted to be exposed to that program because these kids are trying to get that paycheck, and at the time the paycheck is coming from the NFL, right? And so you want to be in the highest visibility position for visibility possible at that point. So yeah, I think it definitely was something that people relied on for getting that paycheck back then, and that made it a lot easier for programs like in Alabama or whoever, even a Clemson at the time, to be successful because they were stockpiling those 5 stars and 4 stars. So now, obviously, it's if you don't want to sit, you don't have to. You can just go somewhere and you're going to get paid. It's been interesting to see actually go the other way, where guys will avoid the NFL draft because they know that they're not going to be drafted high.
They're going to make better money in the SEC or the ACC or the Big Ten or wherever. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we saw that with Carson Beck. He said, "I'm going to the NFL," and then he was like, "Just kidding. I'm actually going to come back and make more money in college than I would in the pros." So, yeah, I think that's probably what we're seeing right now. Does the SEC suck? Man, I don't know. I think it's just kind of like an across the board. Things are just, you're seeing parity across the whole of college football. So,
plus, if I can tack on one more thing, Wes, we're talking about an incredibly small sample size. We've only had NIL kind of in effect for the last 3 years, 4 years, I think.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Maybe really only the last 2 years. So,
without much regulation.
Well, it's the Wild West out there, as anybody will tell you.
Right.
But the thing is that if you look, let's get a little bit more data. Again, I feel like I'm teaching a science class. Let's get a little bit more data, see where we're at in another 5 years, and then we'll have a better idea. I think this was just a really down year for the SEC overall. There were a lot of teams that we were anticipating to be a lot more competitive than they were, and there were a lot of teams that we were anticipating to be better than they were. We were expecting LSU to have a decent year, have a much better year. We were anticipating Tennessee to have a much better year. We were anticipating Georgia to be, in the championship, or at least in the semis, and they got knocked out in the first round. Like, there's a number of teams that didn't meet those expectations, and I think that's more of what that is than anything else. It's a down year. Now, if you're a Big Ten, ACC, anti-SEC hater in the comments, by all means, go ahead and talk your talk. But again, it's cyclical. All this stuff's going to even back out at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as, some of these institutions are just discovering how to utilize NIL and all that stuff. And so as that, happens, you'll see an ebb and flow in teams come and go. So
yeah, they got it. But listen now, before we get off the NIL thing, they got to figure out something about this, because this stuff is insane. Like Washington, yeah. Did you see the story about the Washington quarterback that committed, signed a contract, and now he's trying to back out to go somewhere else? Like it's going to get then. And I think there's talk that Washington's going to sue them. So, I mean, It's gonna get nasty. Somebody, well, I think it was Kirk Herbstreit the other day on TV said, "Listen, just put Nick in charge. Let Nick has great ideas. He loves the sport. Let him make the decisions. Everything will be fine." And that sounds like a decent idea. And look, I hate Nick Saban. I got nothing good to say about him for the most part, but I do respect his opinion, and I know that he would do what's in the best interest of the sport.
Right.
But the problem is, what do you do after Nick's gone?
Right.
Who are you going to give that to then? Urban
Yeah.
Meyer? No, thank you.
Oh gosh. Oh man, yeah. Commissioner of college football could get interesting depending on who that personality is. All right, let's move to the next round of the playoffs, and we'll make our prediction.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, next is number 10 Miami, 12-2 versus number 6 Ole Miss, 13-1. The CFP semifinal at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona, Thursday, January the 8th. That's tomorrow as we record at 7:30 on ESPN. Matt, what's your prediction for this one?
Yeah, this is the story here is craziness.
Yeah.
You got Ole Miss with all the stuff that's been going on, like we talked about earlier in the show. You've got Miami that everybody thought was dead in the water. There's no chance they make it out of the first round, and then here they are in the semifinal. Miami's favored by Vegas by 3.5 right now, according to what the line says. My buddy Grant, who you've talked to, Grant knows ball. Grant said Miami was going to win this ball game. So I'm going to go with Grant. Miami's going to win this thing. I say 32-28. I think the Cinderella story for Ole Miss comes to an end here. And the Canes are in the national championship for the first time since, 2001?
Oh, gosh, it's been a long time. Well, if you're right, then we may be about to swap places in the pick'em because, look, I've seen the Miami defense. I know they're for real. Like I said, we've heard all kinds of noise from Miami fans for doubting them. This pick is in no way is a criticism of them. I just really believe in Ole Miss and their crazy story this playoff season. Sounds like, as we mentioned already, Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey will be staying at Ole Miss despite Lane Kiffin's attempts to lure them to LSU. We've already discussed that. I don't know. It's just a really interesting story that builds the further they get into the postseason to the point where they're just one game from playing in a national championship. So back to the play on the field, though. Miami does have a good defense, but I like Chambliss's ability to extend the plays, much like he did against Georgia. You might not see plays as crazy as some of the plays he made in the Sugar Bowl, but I do think he'll be able to keep Miami's defense on its toes enough to pull off another close, exciting victory. So I'm going to go Ole Miss here, 27-24. So
I'm not mad at that pick, Wes. I think that's a good one. I will tell you that in my estimation, this game will come down to one factor. Do you want to know what that factor is going to be?
what is that?
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck.
I really feel that if Carson Beck comes out and plays a very tight game and does what he needs to do, Miami wins this ball game. If Carson Beck, which Carson Beck has had a bad habit of occasionally in the past, if Carson Beck comes out and lays an egg or he struggles, Ole Miss will win this ball game.
Right.
I think it all comes down to quarterback play for Miami.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. We will get a score from Jessie. She's on the road right now, I believe, so I wasn't able to get.
She's still in mourning from the road.
Wasn't able to get a prediction from her yet, but we will get that on there before the game. Yeah, so that does it. So thanks everybody for listening to this a bowl recap and then a semifinal prediction. If you'd like to reach out to us, please do so at pigskinsandpageantry@gmail.com. If you'd like to email us at pigskinsandpageantry on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We are at PPSCC on PPSCC podcast on Twitter, and we're what? Don't forget we're available out there on pretty much any platform that you can catch your podcasts on. But if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and review. 5 stars. We'd love that. Increase our visibility to have more conversations with great people like yourselves. And this is going to be crazy. I do believe that tomorrow's game is going to be nuts, no matter what. So looking forward to it. Exciting times. So Until next time, this is Wes still saying, go dogs.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the suck. Listen, world's full of all kinds of crazy stuff right now. Go be nice to somebody. Go Vols.